Hey guys, Cameron with Racepak, and one of the great things about having Racepak data systems being located in sunny Southern California is the fact that this is basically the birthplace for a lot of motorsports enthusiasts, companies, and even NHRA itself. And here we are today at the NHRA Motorsports Museum to talk a little bit about the role that Racepak was able to play within the performance gains of the drag racing industry. So let's go on and take a look inside and see what we can find out.
Hot rodding and drag racing got its start right after World War II, primarily using V8 engines like Ford's Flathead. The formula was simple back then. Data logging didn't exist, so racers used their experience, their knowledge, and sheer will to get as much power as possible. What was the formula? A big engine in a small car. Performance evolved very quickly. We got away from the 32 Ford and the Flathead engine and built bigger engines, purpose-built drag racing chassis, tires, and suspensions, but we still didn't have a way to measure the performance the car was making or to tune that performance. We started adding an oil pressure gauge right around this time, and we knew that as long as we had oil pressure, we had a healthy engine, but that didn't help us tune the car or make it go any faster.
So we're in the era now of cars going very, very fast with lightweight chassis. We have the larger engines, we have the superchargers that are getting more efficient. We're getting more power all the time. We're looking at how do we improve performance? Well, we look at weight distribution. Okay, let's move the engine behind the driver now. We've got the weight concentrated more on the rear tires. Also, safety aspect of it, it's now behind the driver. But again, we're still guessing. How are we tuning these things? Well, we're looking at the spark plugs after a run. We're looking at the crush on the bearings before the run. You know, we're standing on the starting line, looking and trying to give the driver the best run we can. We're feeling the cylinder heads to see if, okay, the engine's warm enough, and the driver himself is trying to monitor how the engine's doing by looking at an oil pressure gauge before he makes the run. So we saw earlier the gauges that were used on the top fuel dragsters. Now we're over looking at the funny cars here, also had gauges on them, but we were trying to make improvements. We're trying to go faster, improving aerodynamics, improving superchargers, a lot of that. But we're still guessing at this point in time. We get to the Budweiser King Tempo funny car here, and this was one of the cars that had the first Racepak data loggers on them. What were they able to discover with this? Well, they stopped guessing. They were able to see that with engine RPM and drive shaft RPM, we could still see clutch slippage down track. That led to the creation of the lock-up clutch, which is now standard in all of today's top fuel cars. So we saw on the Budweiser King funny car how they used data to develop the lock-up clutch, which allowed that thing to get up over 270 miles per hour. So now we have the Budweiser King Top Fuel Dragster, the first drag racing vehicle over 300 miles per hour. How did we get there? More data. So we added things like EGT monitoring, we added boost pressure, we added fuel pressure. We're looking at a lot of the things now on both the engine and the driveline, trying to figure out how to make these cars quicker. Of course, we quickly run out of capabilities then on the existing data loggers of the time. We developed a new Pro Series data logger, the Pro 2. Along with that, we're now monitoring ignition timing. If we're retarding the timing curves, we're also adding the Pro Dash to give greater visibility to both the driver and the crew chief so he can see exactly what's going on in the car, both before the run and during. So we saw in the Budweiser King Top Fuel car, we're running out of channels with the existing data loggers. Ever the innovator, Don Garlitz, is also at the same time trying to hit that magic 300 mile per hour mark. Building Swamp Rat 32, it was equipped with a Pro 2 data logger. That way he could check some of the innovations he had, the small front tires, the canopy, the monostrut rear wing. He could look at the data and evaluate whether or not these innovations were actually helping or hurting the performance of the vehicle.
So data logging may have started from Nitro Funny Car and Top Fuel Dragsters, but Racepak has been able to take a lot of that technology from the big cars and turn it into a little bit more of a budget-conscious sportsman application as well. So whether that be a Super Comp Dragster, Pro Stock, Pro Mod, ET door car, any weekend warrior car, we have a data logger that will suit your needs. And just like Jack Beckman did to win his Super Comp World Championship in his Super Comp car, he had a data logger on here that allowed him to use the data logger for a bunch of consistency, engine diagnostics, things of that nature to make sure his car was in tip-top shape to get this big number 1 on the side. And it's your turn to start guessing and start winning so you can get, hopefully, one of these big number 1s on the side. For most people, their drag racing passion started in the 50s, the 60s, even the 70s. Well, people of my generation, our passions generally started in 1994 in the Junior Drag Racing League. My passion started in 1998 when I started racing junior dragsters, and along with some of my good friends, Erica and Courtney Anders, Sean Langdon, Leah Pritchett, for example, we all started in the Junior Drag Racing League, and we all took it very, very seriously. And in just a 5-horse Briggs & Stratton lawnmower engine, you'd be amazed at what you can learn with some data. So what we used to do is we used to put data recorders on our junior dragsters as well. This allowed us to be better drivers and learn how to start tuning and consistencies in the sport. Some things that we used to be monitoring were engine RPM, drive shaft RPM, cylinder head temp, and exhaust temp that would allow us to stop guessing back then, which allowed us to basically learn how to start winning at a young age. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all in quest for that, Wallies. And Racepak has been proud to be a part of many legendary runs and championships and things of that nature as we've gone throughout the years for over 30 years. Now, whether that's power distribution, data logging, or instrumentation, it's your turn to stop guessing and start winning with Racepak. So there you guys have it, the NHRA Motorsports Museum. We'd like to thank NHRA and the museum for allowing us to come down here and show you guys what an integral part the Racepak was able to have on the last 30 years of drag racing history. Going from 200 miles an hour to almost 340 miles an hour this day and age, Racepak has been there for over 31 years. And whether you have a bracket dragster, a door car, a turbo, whatever it may be, all the way up to a top fuel car, we strive to make sure that we have a data logger to fit your needs and to hopefully one day be a champion just like all these people in the museum. And be sure to stop guessing and start winning like all these guys did.